Hey, folks, it's Robert Chappell, Executive Editor, Madison365, with your daily update for Thursday, November 11th. It is Veterans Day, and the update today is brought to you by Quartz, which offers access to high-quality healthcare and innovative wellness programs to help you live your life to the healthiest. Chase your passions and follow your dreams. That's why everything they do, from the way they build their plans to every product and service they offer, is designed to get you where you want to be. Our plans, their plans, our services are created to fit your lifestyle. Make sure you have access to healthcare where and when you need it. At Quartz, the customers are at the center of everything they do. Visit quartzbenefits.com or call customer service at 800-362-3310. And we appreciate Quartz and their support of Madison365 and your daily updates. So let's do COVID numbers first, because this is not good news, folks. And then we've got an important story to talk through after the break that we talked through on the podcast this morning, that was on the site this morning, that you might be familiar with, but I'll just catch you up to speed on it because there have been some updates. All right, so COVID numbers, just not good at all. The average number of new cases today, 2,576, which is 100 more than yesterday, 105 more than yesterday. So there was a time when this was going up by like 20 or 30, and then it go down by 20 or 30. It's kind of steady. Now it's going up by 100 or 150 every day. Not good at all. The positive test rate, which is the percentage of all tests in the past 7 days that have come back positive, 9.7. That's not good. That's on a sharp upward trajectory. That was 7.6 on the October 22nd. So a couple of weeks ago, it's been going basically straight up in the past 2 weeks. Not great. And the last time it was this high, I'm just looking at the chart here. The last time it was this high was, January 11th. It was 9.4. No, January 10th, it was 9.7. So we're at January 10th level right now. Not sure why this is happening, but basically, things go up and down, and it was across the country, things were going down for a couple of months, and Wisconsin was kind of mirroring that. And now across the country, things are going back up. So it's a combination of factors. It's complacency. It's weather's getting colder. It's people gathering more, people going back to offices, people going back to schools. The reported deaths average has actually came down. It was 15 yesterday. Today is 13. But again, these are deaths that are confirmed today. 12 new deaths confirmed yesterday. These are deaths that took place 4 to 6 weeks ago or so. One piece of good news is hospitalizations have stabilized, at least for the day. We leveled out at about 1,100 about a month ago. 1,100 currently hospitalized due to COVID-19 infection. We came all the way down well below 1,000. Now we're back up to almost 1,100 again. 1,062 today, which is 9 fewer than yesterday. So when I say leveled off a little bit, at least for the day, it's been going up pretty rapidly in the past, just this week, honestly. And it's stopped going up today. So it might go back up tomorrow. It might start to come down tomorrow. We'll have to see. But that's still about a 13% increase just in the past 7 days. So that's not great. 135 more today than there were a week ago in the hospital because of COVID-19. 285 of those are in the ICU. So we're still at about a third of COVID-19 hospitalized cases are in intensive care, which is pretty high number. We're down to 64 intensive care unit beds available statewide, which is I'm just going to do the math here quick because I was an English major, so I need a calculator to do the math. As you know, if you've watched this show for any period of time, this less than 5%, 4.7% of all ICU beds in the state are currently available. So that's not great. All right, that's the COVID news. Oh, one other thing I want to mention is 2 days ago, Wednesday, I mentioned that vaccinations were way up. I was very excited that now that we're getting kids vaccinated, we're up to 20,000 doses a day. But then yesterday, that data disappeared. We found out yesterday that there was an error in the data. So they're just not doing vaccine data right now until they're hoping to start reporting it again tomorrow. So everything I was excited about with the big increase in vaccinations might have been wrong. But it might, we'll see. We'll see what they say if they're able to start reporting that again tomorrow. I will say, I know that there are vaccine clinics happening in school districts. There are vaccine clinics happening at healthcare providers. We're getting our kids vaccinated this weekend. It's nice that our provider is able to do it on a Saturday so that if there's side effects, they can just like have the weekend to lay around at home and, feel tired or whatever they feel. So we'll see how that goes. But it's happening. Kids are getting vaccinated. That's a huge step. It's going to be a huge step in turning these numbers around, I hope. All right, that is all the COVID news. Stay with us, though. You'll want to hear about this story. It's a DPI story that is just, if you're going to hire a director of a new department, normally you would do a search for that person. You wouldn't just say, okay, director of this department, now you're going to be the director of this new department tomorrow. But that's exactly what DPI did, and it makes no sense. And we'll talk through it. It seems like they're going to change course. So I will be back right after this to talk you through all that and answer any questions you might have about it right after this word from Madison College.
Apply yourself. At Madison College, we encourage you to be your truest self. You're a trendsetter. Whether it's the clothes you're wearing, the music you're listening to, or the new game you're playing, you're into it first. Friends and family seek your advice because you're a natural-born leader. For you, life is all about taking things to the next level. And at Madison College, we can't wait to see what you do. Apply yourself today.
All right, so the Department of Public Instruction, I use this graphic just because it's a picture of the building. I don't have any pictures of people for this because all the people I talked to wanted to remain anonymous, understandably. So basically what happened is there's a group at DPI of women of color who've been meeting informally for 3 or 4 years. They've been sort of become more formalized just like in the past year or so. When the new superintendent was elected in April and took office in July, she wanted to meet with this group of women of color along with some other affinity groups, who represent marginalized communities, right? She was very excited to meet with them. She wanted to engage. And what they said was, we need like an equity office, right? A lot of companies now have a chief diversity officer, right? Or an equity officer or a DEI director, diversity, equity, inclusion. Not very many state agencies do, though. DHS, UW does. The UW has for a long time. But state agencies, other than that, do not as a rule. In fact, the Department of Health Services just recently became the first Wisconsin state agency to have an equity director, and they have an Office of Health Equity now at DHS that is headed up by Michelle Robinson. We reported on that, in the last few months. So this group of women, especially some other staff too, told the new superintendent, we need an equity office. Like we're doing a lot of equity work. A lot of people are doing work on inclusion, diversity, equity, both within the department as well as creating tools and things for schools to use, right? Because the Department of Public Instruction does a lot of consulting for local school districts. But we would really like to have one office where all the work kind of is coordinated, right? So Jill Underley, the superintendent, said, well, I was going to create an Office of Family Engagement. And they said, okay, that's fine, but that's something different. That's not what we're talking about, really. So in the meantime, the executive staff asked around and asked people to recommend staff to work in a new family engagement office. And rather than rethink that office, they just basically renamed it Partnerships and Equitable Practices, or PEP, PEP. So that was going to be the equity office. And this women of color group was just told one day that we're going to announce this new office tomorrow. And they had taken the director of teaching and learning, who's named Tamara Mao, and they basically told her, she didn't ask for this, she didn't apply for this, but they told her, you're going to be the new director of equity. And they gave her 2 black staffers to report to her and do the equity work. None of them applied for this job. They were just told, this is your new job. Which, in the minds of the people I talk to, does not demonstrate a commitment to equity, right? Because what you would do in any other setting, and what they realize now that they should have done, is engage the stakeholders, right? All these people who are telling you you need an equity office, ask them, what does that office do? Who should we hire? What kind of person? What's the position description look like? What do you need from that office? Would you want to be on the search committee to hire a director for that office? Right? There was no search. There was no position announcement. They just assigned somebody from teaching and learning over to do equity. So there's women of color groups specifically, and lots of other people too, said this, we don't recognize this office. Like we're just gonna not acknowledge that this office exists, because that was a crazy way to do it. Jill Underly, that was on October 7th that they wrote to Jill Underly and to basically say that you did this completely wrong. Like obviously you're trying to check a box here. You're not, this didn't make sense. I hear that so many times. This doesn't make sense. And I got to tell you, this is one story. This is rare, right? Where you keep hearing from people something that just doesn't make sense. And you think to yourself, that doesn't make sense. That can't be right. And it actually is right. Right. And I hear like, you mean they just told this person that you're going to be the director of equity now? And everybody's like, yes. So I called the DPI. And at first they didn't want to talk to me. And finally they did. And they said, yeah, that's basically what happened. I was like, what? It makes no sense at all. So October 7th, this group writes back to Jill and really says, this didn't make any sense. You didn't do this right. We don't recognize it. She wrote back to them and said, it's an urgent priority. I really wanted to get it done, so we're going to go forward. This is the way it's going to be. And they said no. You dismantle this thing. Go back. Everybody, go back to where you were, and let's do this right. And John said no. So fast forward a couple of days, I got a hold of them. I called the PR people at DPI, and I said I want to talk to this new equity director. And they said no, we're not doing press about that yet. It'll be a few more months. And I said, well, I'm going to write a story soon. I'm not waiting a couple months for this, because you have a lot of people who are very upset about how this happened. And they immediately ran up the flagpole. Went from that person to the director to the other to the executive director. I talked to that person, and then I published the story this morning. And he, Thomas McCarthy, is the executive director of the superintendent's office. And he acknowledged that we chose expediency over equity, and that was an error. And it's an error we're going to revisit. We're going to look at it. We're going to, starting over is one of the options. They're not starting over. They're going to leave this office in place. I should also say that Tamara Mao, the director of this office, everybody I talked to had just glowing things to say about her. This is not her fault at all. Nobody thinks it is. They all said when she was director of teaching and learning, she was fully committed to equity in that work, which is why they chose her. Right? It wasn't a bizarre choice to choose this person. It was just the process that had happened was very weird and unfortunate. So everybody's very careful, but to say like this isn't Tamara's fault, right? She's doing good work and she's just trying to do her best. But the way she was plucked out of one job and put in another job that she didn't ask for or want just didn't make any sense. But they're going to let her keep doing the job while they do a restorative process with these people because regardless of the outcome, like there's still harm done by just ignoring all these people that you want to talk to. So they did admit there was a mistake. They're going to revisit it. They're going to do a restorative process. And then a few hours, I published a story at 6:00 this morning. At 1:30 this afternoon, the superintendent put out an email to all staff, which I now have added into the, I've added a link to this email into the story from this morning, sort of at the bottom. But basically, Jill Underly says in this that she takes responsibility for the mistake. She said, I made a mistake. I'm going to drop a link in the comments here for you. And that she pledges to greater transparency in how the executive office works, and to engage in professional development, or I would just say training, equity training for herself and for the sort of top level executive staff at DPI. Did not pledge to dismantle the office as had been requested. So we'll see how that goes. So I've reached out to some of the people I talked to see if they have any reaction to this email. I doubt that they will. Why would they? So that's where we stand. It's one of those stories that, like, it just takes a little while to do. And the whole time I was like, this doesn't make sense. But it turns out it didn't make sense, but that's what they did anyway. So that is our main story today. Take a look at that if you'd like. It's there on the website, still on the front page at Madison365.org. One other thing I'll mention from the website today, you can go look at this. There's some great pictures from this event. End Time Ministries, Bishop Godfrey Stubbs there on the left, hosted an early Veterans Day celebration. Today's Veterans Day, but the church over there on the west side of Madison honored veterans on Sunday with a special service and ceremony. The story there, Dave Dahmer did the recap of that for us at Madison365.org, and has got some terrific pictures from that event, which was really looks like it was pretty moving and important event for those folks. So that's all I have for you today. If you value the work we do, you should join the FAM. $5 a month, $10 a month, and every dollar you give us for the next year is doubled. It's that simple. Right now, it's called News Match. Over the next until the end of December, if you join the FAM for $5 a month, every dollar you give us for the next year, we get another dollar from the Knight Foundation and from INN and from some other foundations. It's a little incentive. So you basically doubles your impact. So go to Madison365.org/thefam. I'm going to put that link in here too for you, make it nice and easy. $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month, whatever you can do, goes a long way to help us continue to do this kind of journalism that can really shake up institutions, right? Nobody else was reporting on that DPI thing, and nobody else was going to. That's a story no other media outlet could do, but we can, and we're here, and they're literally changing the way they do things at DPI because I poked around enough, and and that's how things work. That's how journalism works, right? We expose it, and it gets changed, right? We afflict the comfortable and we comfort the afflicted. That's what we do. We do that with your support. So think about it. Join up if you can. Thanks for everything. Have a wonderful evening. We'll be back tomorrow. We have the podcast in the morning, and we'll have I'll have the update. We'll hopefully have some vaccine data for you tomorrow afternoon. Until then, have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourself. We'll talk to you soon.
This is 365 Media.